Hey, what is up, fight fans? Michael Hernandez here, back again once to talk to one of California's top MMA fighters, Hyder Amil, the Hurricane over there in Northern California, Yay Area's own. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I can't complain, man. It is an absolute pleasure to get to speak with you. You have obviously been doing not only a ton in the California MMA scene, but now making your way over there to that big stage of the UFC. Got a fight coming up in July. What has the preparation for this one, for this fight camp been like? I know last time out, you had a opponent switch up in Fernie Garcia. You originally had another opponent slated. How is it this time around that you've had the same opponent? You've had this kind of, a real true full fight camp for you almost.
That's the only difference is I'm just getting prepared for the same guy, same style. I'm always aware there might be a change, so I always work every part of the game. I'm aware of this guy's strengths, so of course the game plan for that. But I'm always working every part of MMA as well with different training partners, as well as partners that can emulate what my opponent does best.
Yeah, you've been known to get some work in with some of the top names in the game. I mean, obviously, besides from the guys over there at the Scrap Pack, you got guys like Chrome Gracie that I believe have called you to go ahead and help them in on their camps. You've obviously been a huge help to another name that's kind of been rising up those names, Raul Rosas. I've seen kind of some pictures of you guys back in the day, and just how has that been to not only been around like your guys' like the Scrap Pack crew, but also to kind of be around the other talent that's coming around Northern California and that's been able to kind of train and work with you guys over there in the Scrap Pack?
It's really cool, everyone's like, we all get along. It's all good vibes, all good training. I also go to Extreme Couture. I've trained with all kinds of people, pro boxers, Muay Thai guys. I go out to CSA a lot as well. I mostly train at El Nino and CSA, so they got a lot of fighters there, big names in both the MMA and Muay Thai world. So I'm getting looks from everyone, and it's just making me a well-rounded fighter. And I get sparring people in their own disciplines, whether it's boxing or Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling. We got some really good high-level jiu-jitsu here in the Bay Area as well. So I always make sure I get plenty of rounds doing that as well.
Yes, you have been not only putting your rounds in over there on the mats at CSA, over there in the mats over there, of course, with the whole crew, but also at your own gym. You're kind of the ringleader of your own gym, as I know it, correct?
Yeah, I am, and I have a business partner, Steve, and I also have a few other coaches here. They're high level in their disciplines as well as MMA. They're all well rounded, so it helps me train. Having my own gym where I can it's really right next to my house, so I can just drive down, go train whenever I want. It gives me a lot of time back in a day because I live an hour away from any training center, so the commute is like 2 hours, so I get a lot of that back each day, which allows me to recover more. And because the guys, I have a lot of talent around town, they come help me train, but also I'm developing the scene in MMA, boxing, Muay Thai here in Marin, because they don't really have something like that, as well as a really cool martial arts community.
Yeah, you're kind of the Marine marauder in a sense. You're the guy that's been coming out and been making a name. And also, I would like to say, you're kind of one of the first Filipino MMA kind of starlets. How does that feel to kind of, I know obviously the Bay Area has a huge Filipino population, but to also kind of be that first real big name that's, obviously you represent the Filipino flag as well as the American flag, but kind of go into that influence that you have possibly not only on the Bay Area, but also with your mixed martial arts and your UFC career as well.
I was born in the Philippines. I came to the Bay Area when I was really young, like 5, 6 years old, something like that. So all I know is the Bay Area. All my friends and family and everyone who's brought me up is out here. So that's why I represent them so much. And I'm really proud of the culture here. But I'm also very proud of my Filipino heritage and the family I come from. I'm half Filipino, but I only grew up with my mom's side, and so I only know that culture growing up. And it's, we have a very tight knit family, and we're all like a lot of fun, very hardworking people. I want to show the world that what Filipino folks are all about, but also what Bay Area folks are all about. Because when you grow up here, you grow up with everyone, very diverse. We got a really cool culture out here, and I grew up in different areas in the Bay Area, and it really made. I grew up with everyone of their own demographics, so I really got in touch with different people from different lands and different ethnic backgrounds. So I feel I can represent people well because I kind of understand and know what it's like to grow up around everyone like that.
Yeah, I was watching a previous interview you had done. You said your family used to have feast. You know, they used to have the pig. They used to have everything out there. Is there a possibility after one of these UFC wins that we could see you kind of reviving that tradition, maybe having a big cookout for the Bay or something like that?
Oh my God, that would be awesome. I apologize for people who don't eat pork, and people who don't eat meat, but the whole roasted pig is just a tradition for not only Filipino people but island people, Hawaiian people do it. It's just like a luau. We call it lechon from where we are, and yeah, my family does it really big. Pretty much all Filipino families does it really big when it comes to food and feasting. So yeah, I hope maybe after this fight, I get a big old win, throw a gym party, and maybe have a pig or two for everybody.
Yeah, there you go, my man. Yeah, I was watching back that interview, I believe the last one you had did, and you're speaking a little bit about that, and also about the fact that you were a graduate at Cal State University, East Bay. I believe you're probably one of the only gym owners I know that's not only competing and having a fight career, but also has a good degree. Was that something of importance to you to kind of make it known to your family, like, hey, yeah, I take this fight stuff serious, but I also want to go out there and get this education and further myself as much as possible.
Fighting is a crazy sport. It's a crazy thing. It's a lot of sacrifice to work, and do school, and go all out in MMA is a lot. Mind you, I'm 2 feet into MMA, so don't get me wrong. When I say I got that degree, I definitely only had to do one or two classes. There's no way I could have done any more than that per semester because I wanted to be all in. I work my butt off. Everyone who knows me for an MMA, my coaches never have to question how hard I work. They know I probably train even probably too much, but it was very important for me to get this degree. One, for my family, but two, to secure my future. Maybe one day I get tired of getting punched in the face. I see a lot of fighters who are broken body and broken pockets, and and they're not living too great. And I also wanted to do another thing, that whether it was in fighting or somewhere else, I wanted to take care of everybody who helped me up on the way. Because there's a lot of fighters who may not be doing too well, but with my gym, I allowed it for my friends and guys in the martial arts community to have a place to work. So it gives them money, gives them funds, it helps their community. So I always wanted to do things for me, but definitely the icing cake is when I can have everyone eat as well. So that was always my thing, and I hope I get to a platform in the UFC where I become big enough and successful enough where I can really make an impact in the world as well.
Yeah, the Fight Pit. I want to go ahead and give them a shout out. The Fight Pit did a great interview with Hyder as well, and spoke in lengths about not only that degree, but also about the success that you had kind of seen outside of the octagon, which I also kind of found a little bit interesting. You not only took your first pro fight at 17, which I was like, wow, like, or first MMA fight at 17, which I was like, wow, that's not even legal anymore. But the fact that you were very adamant about, like, kind of like how you were stating, that fighting isn't forever, but you want to be all in while you're here. Is that something that you kind of wish to preach to more fighters coming up? Like, hey, really appreciate the youth you do have in these younger years, because you often see a lot of these MMA guys, they get that rise a little bit later on in their careers, in their 30s, or they get that itch to come back a little bit later. You're going to be that guy that's preaching, like, hey, get out there and be that young gun and be that guy that's getting at the guys at the top.
You know what? Everyone's story is different. So whether you're getting it in older or younger, everyone's story is different. Look at Randy Couture, Daniel Cormier, guys like that, like myself, So, but what I will say is whether it's fighting or anything else, chase your dreams as soon as possible. Go all out on your dreams because there's while your parents and stuff are taking care of you, hopefully you have that privilege. People in the U.S. usually do have that privilege where their family's taking care of them, that they have access to programs and stuff as a youth. Take advantage of that because then you're not working. That's the reason why most people who start MMA as adults, they're not successful because they have to work as well. Part of the reason why I got to school was because you get grants and stuff like that help you live, and go to school. But I still had to use the fight money to pay for the classes, and I didn't want all that debt, so I made sure that I was paying it off. Now I have very little like money to pay back compared to what I could possibly do with this degree. I would say whether one, go to college for something that once you graduate, you're gonna get a high paying job that you can pay off whatever you need to really quickly. Two, go hard, go 100% on your dreams now, because what's gonna happen? Two things that are gonna happen. You're gonna attain that goal, get close to that goal, but you're also going to find out what you're really about. No one really, everyone's just trying to figure out what their purpose in life is. And most of the time you're going to find that purpose doing other things, chasing other things. And a lot of people usually find out, they want to be teachers and they realize, man, I hate kids. So I'm just saying, like, you're going to find out a lot of what you want to do by the experience itself and the year by year grind. And I realized, I started MMA when I was young, and I fell out of it, and I started doing other jobs. Dude, I've done every job. And I realized, wow, MMA is for me. I can't believe I gave that up, and you know what? I'm gonna make a run for it because I'm too nice. I'm too good at fighting for me not to make a run at it, and for the world not to see what I can do. So that's why I got back into it.
Yeah, I love that you had that mindset of, everybody's kind of trajectory is a little bit different, but not only that, but everybody's journey and the way that they take up things. Like and I think everybody can compare themselves to that in a sense and can find a little bit of their own Hyder Amil in themselves. But just to speak up a little bit more on some of those things that you were preaching about in there. I know you were saying that, you kind of worked a ton of jobs. And I know over there in the Bay Area, there's some crazy types of jobs that you can work. What would you kind of say was the one job where when you worked it, you're like, yeah, I definitely want to get back into the fight game, or it really motivated you to just want to get in that gym and work even harder?
One, I used to be a debt collector. Two, I used to work construction and with concrete. And like debt collection, I did for Comcast or whatever. I just show up at your house or look at a piece of paper, call people. Made you a really good salesman, but also it made you realize a lot about people. I could look at a piece of paper, look at the address and everything, and kind of understand and hear their voice and understand what this person's about, instantly. Know how to shape the sales, know what they're gonna say and whatever. So it made you really good with people and and um and and sales and stuff. Two, construction. Um is hard work day after day. I used to do private construction projects. I used to, this is what got me in construction management. I've been doing construction my whole life. I think that's what made me strong and made me why everyone wanted me to do sports because I had no one playing with me as a kid. All I did was work. I always did manual labor, and so my as a young adult, I would be I got tired of doing customer service. I got tired of working with people because people suck. So I started doing construction again. And dude, it's backbreaking to work with concrete, carrying those 80-pound bags up and down, digging holes. It's backbreaking, it's hard work, but it makes you appreciative of having an easier job and education. When you have a hard time at a job, yeah, I just think about all the work I used to do and how hard it used to be. I'm like, that ain't so bad. Or when I do or in my MMA when I'm struggling, I'm like, man, I don't want to go to train and do this. I'm like, Fuck that. You want to go back to working a regular job and having someone tell you what to do? I'm like, hell no. I'd rather die than do that, you know? So that's how I look at it.
That was going through the mind during that Contender Series matchup. I mean, just that was probably, if not one of my favorite Contender Series fights
Oh,
ever.
really? Thanks,
It's
man.
it's got to be up there because the way that both of you guys were going at each other to the very end was just insanity. The amount of shots that uh, Somnias took was insane. Like I was at some point, I was like, how is Hyder reversing some of this? Like just you guys had so much will in there, and it was quite impressive. Can you walk us through that performance? I know it's a couple of now a year and some time removed, but it's still special performance watching back at
Yeah, you don't forget a fight like that.
it.
It was very tiring. I made a mistake the night before. I ate sushi in Vegas, and it actually gave me food poisoning. So I did that whole fight with food poisoning, um, which is crazy. You know, I told
Is this
people
an
like,
MLH media exclusive? I don't think this has been revealed, right?
no, I know I didn't tell anyone that. I had food poisoning during the fight, you know, and I was strong mind, you know. I tell myself to do something, my stomach's gurgling, I'm feeling sick. I only ate one thing that day of my fight. I could only stomach a waffle. I couldn't
Oh
eat
my
anything
god.
else. Yeah, so I fought that fight like with no fuel, and I still had to fight that hard. So that's why I feel like I could have fought smarter, so my legs weren't there as much. He shot like 23 times. I think I have the takedown. I have the takedown defense record for the Contender at 18 takedown defenses. You know, and it's his fight was like 23 all out shots, not 23 half ass shots. It was 23 go for broke shots. You know, that's why we
Yeah,
were so tired. And he's a
he
very
was
high
going.
level wrestler too. Yeah.
No, and he
So,
trains with some, I believe, trains over there at American Top Team. I could be wrong on that, but trains with very high level UFC
no, he trains at British top team or whatever that's called.
Top Team.
Yeah,
Yes,
something
yes,
like
I
that.
believe you are correct. I remember it being one of the top team affiliates, and watching that fight, like how you said, not only some of your takedown defenses, but also on his ability to not give up on some of those takedowns was just insanity. And the fact that you had food poisoning throughout it all, so you wait in, go to eat sushi, and not sit in well, and then the waffles only feel after.
Uh, I ate sushi the night before the fight, and then came back home, started puking. Next morning, can only eat a waffle. My stomach is in that much pain still, and then go backstage and go eat and then go fight, and then yeah, pretty much. So that's. I was like, all right, and I hadn't fought in a year because of my surgeries and injuries and stuff. So I hadn't fought in a year. So yeah, and you know, that was the only thing I was more unsure of. But other than that, it was a good test of my will. It was a good test that I could go against a high level grappler, and I pretty much out grappled the grappler. So yeah, it was. I was very frustrated with that fight because I just was not fighting smart. You know, I was like, you know, shaking my head like, why didn't do this? Why didn't do that? So I beat myself up for that fight a lot. So, but I definitely took what I had to learn from that fight. But one thing it did instill in me is that man, I'm willing to die in there. You know, I think that's the difference between me and a lot of people. I'm not only willing to die, but I'm willing to kill. I'm willing to kill and I'm willing to die. That's the difference between me and a lot of people in there.
I think some fans and a lot more fans are going to see not only your will, but I think some already seen a little bit of it in that last fight with Fernie Garcia, especially with you, like how you said. I know you said you always stay ready, but still to be able to take out somebody like Fernie who's always ready to go on the feet, you were obviously more than game to duke it out. But now you got Jeong Yeong Lee over there on July 20th. What are your thoughts behind the matchup? What are your thoughts on the overall 2024 year? What are some things that we can expect to see out of Mr. Hyder Amil?
Um, you know, Jeong Yeong Lee is the Asia Road to Asia champion. You know, he's fought mostly Korean guys. I think he beat a good fighter, Blake the Builder, his last fight. Blake Builder, not Blake the Builder. Blake Builder.
Blake the Builder.
Um, yeah, I don't know why I always see Blake the Builder. I don't know why, but dude, he's it's like I said, dude. You can fight all these people until you fight Hyder Amil. It's a different story because you're not gonna get away with any of that with me. I fight both stances. I can knock you out with anything. Punches, elbows, knees. I'm tough as hell. I'm fast as lightning, you know. I'm slick as oil. And I'm strong and I'm powerful, dude. Just those physical attributes. And as you can tell, I don't I don't got no quit. I got heart. You gotta literally kill me. So it's like, and I train my butt off. I'm a very hardworking person. I have no fear. So just those intangibles alone, it's gonna be hard for anyone to do anything to me. Um, Stylistically, it's a fun fight. He likes to stand and bang. Me too. Again, usually like if it's a grappler versus grappler, they're gonna strike. Striker versus striker. I don't doubt one of us are gonna grapple. Maybe he might before I do. Most people I fight usually start trying to grapple me. Even if they're a striker. So we shall see. I'm very excited about the matchup, though. I feel like it's going to be an exciting fight, and it's something that probably shouldn't be in the Apex. It's a fight that should probably be in an arena. So I'm using this fight as my ticket out of the arena, have an amazing showing, and show the world that Hyder Meals, is a must watch TV.
Yeah, is there I know obviously I know you're not trying to plan ahead or you're not trying to do anything, but UFC has discussed a couple of potential pay-per-views. They've obviously said the Sphere, Mexican Independence Day, that's going to be a huge card. They got the card later on, Madison Square Garden in November, and then December is always a huge send-off for the UFC. Is there any potential dates that we could possibly look to see Hyder Amil? Or are you looking to come back in 2024 after this fight? Are you kind of what's the activity range that we could expect to see out of the Hurricane?
I'd be down to do both those fights. If they could put me in the Sphere and Madison Square Garden, I would do both those fights instantly. If I could fight every month, every 2 months, I would do it. That's a life for me. I rather fight than anything. Honestly, it's like it's way easier for me to fight. Get payday that way, train and do that. I'd much rather do that as my lifestyle. And two, it's easier to fight and keep on fighting. And then maybe take a little bit of a layoff. But man, I'm hungry. I want to climb the ladder quickly. So whatever it takes, I'll do.
Yeah, Hyder, you've been a great guest today. I really appreciate your time. It's always a great pleasure getting to speak with you, whether it's at Fight Night at the Tech, whether it's on the video call, wherever it may be. Always a great pleasure. Anything that you wanted to share with these kind of final closing minutes on the call here today?
Stay tuned, July 20. Put some money on me. You're going to get it back. Um, Shout out to my team in Scrap Pack and Hack MMA in Marin County. Follow me at Hurricane_415. Thanks for having me, Michael.
A big shout out to the Scrap Pack over there, always killing it in they got guys all over. If it's not professional MMA, I promise you they're killing it over there in the amateurs. They got Skyshon Jones, Antonio Vasquez, they got Kyle Clark coming up in the 559 Fights 106. So they always have activity. Big shout out to Coach Escobar and to Coach Mo Baca over there out of El Nino Training Center. Been knowing them for quite a while, and their work has been absolutely amazing, as well as Coach Gill and all the guys. Absolutely a pleasure to get to have the Hurricane on. As always, my man, Hyder Amil, thank you so much. Michael Hernandez here of MLH Media, and we are going to be signing out over here, the MLH Media podcast, with my man, Hyder Amil, the Hurricane, before he takes on Jeong Yeong Lee over there on July 20th. Alrighty, my man. So the